Welcome back to another episode of RVersity with Blog and Brandy, and today we're talking about getting started in RV life and financial planning. So I'm walking you through that process, so be sure to subscribe to this video and hit the bell icon somewhere around this video so you're notified each and every time I publish a new video that goes with this series. I actually came from financial planning, so before I started RVing, before I quit my job, I was doing financial planning for individuals, and then I went over to doing institutional investing. I actually do have a finance degree. So if you're like, how does this girl know what she's talking about? That's how, okay? And I did used to work for a very prestigious company. So I worked for Bank of America Merrill Lynch, and then I quit my job and started my own business, and I decided to dive into RV life after a series of unforeseen circumstances, but it's for the better. So if you haven't seen my story, you can check that out below. Without further ado, let's dive into budget basics and what I would tell you to do if I was you and I was in your shoes. And actually, I do this. And you can do this on the computer digitally, or you can do this on paper, or you can do this on paper and then put it in your computer. So going into this year, wherever you're starting, make sure that you kind of follow these steps. And I do this every single month, even sometimes like several times a month, I'll kind of like recheck this. So let's fine tune your finances and figure out your actual budget. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is that you need to list your income streams. So that's going to be your job, savings, business, if you have a business versus a job, your business income streams, and then any kind of investments, 401k, pension. Think about any kind of money that you have coming in or that you would have coming in eventually. If you have a paycheck that comes in and I get $1,000 a month, then yes, that's kind of what you estimate for the rest of the year. Like, oh, I'm gonna make $30,000, $50,000, $60,000, $100,000, or whatever your income is. The second thing that you're gonna want to do is to list your expenses. This is gonna include your living expenses. These are your day-to-day living expenses, whatever it takes to actually live in your day-to-day. And a lot of this is either gonna be wants and needs and must. Some of it is like must-haves, and then some of it is maybe not. So we'll dive into that in a second. But your living expenses, things like your bills, your credit cards, any kind of credit cards that you owe on, your loans. You want to know how much you owe on these, and as well as like the minimum payment that you need to make, the interest rates too. Your mortgage or your RV payment, depending on what you're paying for, or your rent. It kind of depends on your situation right now. A car, if you're paying for a car, that I would include that. Cell phones, TV, think about anything that you're paying for right now. Insurance, health insurance. What are your living expenses? If you said, I have to make these payments every single month or annually or whatever, what is that number? So you're going to add those up. The third thing that you're going to want to do is figure out your daily cost of living, the daily amount that you need to get by. I know that a lot of people teach you, here's how much you need for retirement for 5 years, for 10 years, for, however many years that you think you're going to live. But honestly, you're not promised tomorrow, okay? So I think in terms of a year, month, days, you got to prepare, or at least start that way, because then none of the rest of that even matters. If you can't make it 6 months or a year, then why does it matter 5 months, 10 years out? The first thing you want to figure out is how much runway money you have, and that is how long you can survive if everything stops. If your job stops, if you're just making minimum payments on all your bills and you're just getting by, you're not paying stuff off, you're not doing anything lavish, you're just, whatever happens, always make the minimum payments on your credit cards, your loans, your bills. Never don't make a payment. Always make your minimum payments. That is the worst mistake you can make. You don't want your credit score to suffer. You don't want to have anything bad, because you can't fix that, and that's on your credit for like 7 years. How long can the money that you have right now and the money that you have coming in, like from savings plus what's coming in or not coming in, how long can you survive? Is that a week, a month, 6 months, a year? How long can you survive? This also gives you a financial snapshot. So this lets you know like where you're at when you go put this out on paper or on your screen, and then you can actually make money moves. You can figure out, okay, this is what I can do. I can eliminate this, or I can add this, and you can physically see this laid out on paper or on the screen. And then the fourth thing that you want to do is you want to eliminate and reduce and cut out expenses. So now that you have this listed out, you have your income and you have your expenses, and you really can see your financial snapshot, then you want to say, okay, well, what can I eliminate? Is Netflix a necessity? No. Hulu a necessity? No. Is TV a necessity? No. Is internet a necessity? Probably. That's not something that you would necessarily eliminate. And I will tell you, you got to think about things like if you just get internet versus just get cable. Sometimes on the plans, it actually costs more to do just internet versus cable and internet. At my condo, I never had cable. I always just did free antenna, and I get plenty of channels, but I lived in the city too. Even in my RV, I just have free cable. Those are kind of daily choices, and these choices are going to get you closer to the RV lifestyle that you want to live by giving up these little bitty expenses, okay? So you got to figure out what means more to you, watching that TV show or going out and exploring something on the road. The fifth thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to increase your income. So now that you see what income you have, some of the income increase is going to come by reducing your expenses, but some of it is going to be selling things that you don't want or need. If you're trying to be in an RV, there's things that you're not going to need. You can look and see, is there anything that you can make money on? So I did make a video about downsizing your life and how to go through that process, which I'll put a link to below this video, but I dove into like, okay, if I was getting into RV life and starting this process, what would I do? How would I downsize? Because somebody asked me that question. So I dove really in depth into that, and I do dive really in depth into that with my students, and I break down the process of like how I actually sell everything step by step. So if you're interested in learning that, you can book a call with me and learn more about becoming one of my students. I'll put a link to book a call with me and learn more about RVersity below this video as well. When you're increasing your income, you really just want to sell things that you don't want, don't need, or things that can make you money, or things that are going to give you space, freedom, or mobility. So if it's going to put you in a place to have more space, more freedom, or more mobility, then I would kind of make that choice as well. Again, the first thing that you want to do when it comes to your budget basics is figure out what's your income streams. The second thing you want to do is figure out what's your expenses. The third thing you want to do is figure out your daily living costs, like how much is it going to cost me? And then you want to figure out, okay, what can I eliminate from those expenses? And then how can I increase my income? So there's a lot more involved, but this is kind of like the basics of financial planning, how you come up with a budget, how you figure out whether you can afford to live for RV life or even just your normal life. If that makes sense, hit the like button below. I'm Blogging Brandy from RVersity, University for RVers. Check out the description below for all the links to everything that I talked about. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you're notified each and every time that I publish a new video. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye guys, love you.